in the last Alone stream I did, which I believe was Sunday. A few recent developments have come out concerning the alleged rape story. So Sunday we covered this. CNN report claiming that sexual violence on October 7th relied on non-credible witness, some undisclosed ties to the Israeli government. And one of the things that we pointed at was how evidently rooted in racist, anti-Arab tropes these narratives are. And we discussed one of the tweets from Institute professor Danny Shaw, who said, "You want to talk about tropes? The myth of the, quote, savage Arab rapist was the foundation of Orientalism, which provided the racist ideological justification for the white man's burden and colonialism. Its modern iteration is Islamophobia. The fake rape charges are the next phase of disinformation against Gaza and Palestine." And we also covered this in the context of the hypocrisy of imperialism and the projection of imperialism that always blames its enemies in a very baseless way for doing what it itself promotes. So there's no evidence at all for Hamas promoting rape of women anywhere, or actually executing the rape of women in October 7th. However, what we do have evidence of is of leading rabbis invoking holy text to legitimize both the killing of babies, but also the rape of enemy women. So here's a post from Dan Cohen where he says, Amid Eyal Karim's appointment as Israeli military chief rabbi, scandal erupted over his writings permitting soldiers to rape women during wartime. 150 Zionist rabbis wrote in support of him. So it's not just him, it's not just one wacko. It's not an outlier. It's a part of the systematic core of this racist, supremacist ideology of Zionism, stating that, quote, the attempt to disqualify the rabbi's appointment due to his legitimate Torah positions is an attempt that will severely harm the entire Torah world in the state of Israel and the Israeli occupational forces. Karim is now a brigadier general giving spiritual guidance to Israeli soldiers terrorizing Gaza. So if that wasn't enough, and last time we saw the clips of the Zionists harassing Medea Benjamin, who was calling for ceasefire at the protest, and saying absurd things like, "We wish you to be raped, that it be recorded and sent to your mother." So all of these horrible things that they, in a very evidently racist manner, project onto the Palestinians, it's actually themselves, the ones that are often guilty of doing and promoting. But just to have a little bit more evidence to the thesis that a lot of these positions are rooted in racism. And of course, when you hear me say they're rooted in racism, that means that they're rooted in this ideological phenomenon that becomes an epiphenomenal reality of imperialism and capitalism. That means that it becomes a reality that is necessary for the smooth reproduction of the existing capitalist and imperialist, thereby relations of production. So when I say rooted in racism, always think it's rooted in a system that needs racism in order to perpetuate its ends of accumulating capital. But here is one of the central sources for the thesis of Hamas rape allegations. May Golan, a key source, as Loki says, shout out to Loki, for BBC rape claims against Palestinians. Here she is. Let's listen in to what she has to say.
They were burned, they were without organs, they were butchered completely, they were slaughtered to the core. You had heads roaming around, you had breasts of women roaming around, and yeah.
So that narrative goes unquestioned, not just by the people speaking it, but by the people hearing it, because you already have these ideological presumptions of what Arab people are like, of what the non-European, non-white people are like. And those presumptions allow you so that when you hear stories like this, your stomach turns, you get all emotional, you lose all capacity to reason, and then you consent to a genocidal war that if you were able to see it with plain eyes and without this ideological baggage getting in the way of actually seeing the reality, you would never consent to because it's horrific. It's anti-human, and anyone with the slightest bit of humanity can recognize that. But let's to confirm this thesis, let's see what this lady has to say.
I just wanted to focus a bit more on.
We're racist because we want to preserve our lives and our sanity. So I'm proud to be a racist, and it is our right to be racist. If I'm racist in order to preserve my life, then I am proud. There you go. Explicitly saying how racist they are. And this is not new. You know, we saw a couple of days ago outside of this massive conference in, I believe, Colorado. We covered it on Sunday's stream. A couple gentlemen, I don't even know if you can call them that. One of them opened their shirt and kill all sand N-words with a hard R. You know, extremely racist, supremacist folks. And that's the reality of the Israeli settler colonial apartheid state. It's very tragic, but it's something that in the Palestinians fighting against, they're not just fighting for their own emancipation. You know, we on the left, we often paint it too narrowly. Palestinians are not just fighting for their own freedom, even though they are doing that. But in that fight against the most reactionary, or one of the most reactionary points of the imperialist web, they're fighting for humanity at large. They're fighting against the greatest enemy of humanity, which is this cancerous, life-devouring capitalist imperialist system. Palestine fights for all of us. It fights for our freedom in fighting for its own emancipation.